Cooper Flagg is a forward from Duke who spent his freshman year captivating the nation more than any player has since Zion Williamson. His powerful dunks, impressive rim protection, and overall statistical excellence during his freshman season has made him the obvious number one pick. Flagg has the expectation to be a franchise-saving superstar, but does his game suggest that that should be the case? Let's dive into the enigmatic and captivating forward and find out. At the NBA Combine, Coop measured at 6'7" and 3/4, 6'9" in shoes, with a 7-foot wingspan and an 8'10" and a half standing reach. This makes him legitimately four-sized in the NBA, and his game most comfortably translates to that position defensively. Flagg averaged 1.4 steals and 1.4 blocks per game in 30.5 minutes, which led to a 2.7 steal rate and a 4.7 block rate. If you combine those with his 21.2% defensive rebound rate, it makes for an impressive overall stat profile on the defensive end. In fact, the list of high major freshmen to tally at least a 2.5 steal rate, a 4.5 block rate, and a 20% defensive rebound rate is only 9 players long, and includes 2 players that will be drafted this year and only 2 players that didn't play much in the league. The rest of the list all achieved varying degrees of NBA success, including Anthony Davis, who was once a similarly heralded number 1 prospect. What is more impressive is that Flagg is younger than all of those players that achieved this mark. Much of the overall discussion around Coop will be centered around the production for his youth, as Flagg is December 21st, 2006 birthday, making him as young as you could be while still being eligible for the draft. His rookie season will be his age 19 season, and he spent most of the college season as a 17-year-old. It is important to note that next year's stars, like AJ DeBonsta and Cameron Boozer, were originally in the same class as Coop before Coop reclassed up. So his age and production is often what should have been expected for a high school senior, which makes everything he did that much more impressive. What Flagg excels at defensively is creating havoc as the low man. He is a good shot blocker with a knack for timing and really insane hand-eye coordination. Hand-eye coordination tends to be a huge separator between the best shot-blocking forwards and the merely competent ones. And Flagg's ability to get balls in the air with either hand at any point of its trajectory and jumper blocks out of a variety of body positions all point to elite upside as a secondary rotating shot blocker. Coop is notably not a center, so there will have to be more to his game than blocking shots. Former NBA champion Brian Scalabrine has described Flagg as having a supercomputer brain, and that is on full display on defense. He can be a devastating nail defender, stunting and recovering or going for hard digs when they present themselves. He has great feel for maximizing his length, too, using it to poke at the ball without having to take himself out of position. The ground coverage is great. He can fly from the paint to the perimeter in an instant and vice versa. His closeouts are generally crisp, and there were multiple possessions this year where he'd make 4 different efforts in one play because he could get everywhere he was needed. Ground coverage tends to be a huge separator between elite and merely good help defense. And Coop's long strides and quick reaction time allow him to get to spots on the court quicker than most. He can crash from the top of the key to the block for a rebound or go from the paint to the wing on a closeout in an instant. And he rarely looks off balance or uncomfortable in the process. I think the big question defensively comes at the point of attack. He does fine on most players, but quicker guards and great wing athletes with good strength can expose him some on the perimeter. I would not expect him to be an OG an OB or Herb Jones defensively because of these on-ball deficiencies. He's at least a passable on-ball defender who won't be exposed on closeouts, and that combines with his motor and off-ball consistency to make him a potential all-defense guy. A high-end comp would be a McCall Bridges, Derek White combo with better size than both. His processing, event creation, and shot blocking are fairly in line with those two. Even median outcomes could see him as a valuable playoff defender in the mold of Nicola Batum or Al Horford, where he is helping teams win and being a part of great defenses, even if he isn't always the driver of great defenses. And that floor to me is really high on that end. His motor is too good. His feel for shot blocking and ability to make decisions consistently and quickly, it's all too good for him to be anything but, at least a good defender. And there's a real chance that he is, the best non-big rim protector in the league, who also, creates a lot of havoc and is pretty good guarding on the ball. Flagg had a statistically significant freshman season on the offensive end, averaging 19.2 points and 4.2 assists while only turning it over 2.1 times per game. He shot 48.1% from the field, 38.5% from 3, and 84% from the line, giving him a 59.3% true shooting. He also dunked 36 times and had a 123 offensive rating on 30% usage. Maybe the biggest overall question with Flagg is how consistently he can create advantages and get buckets against the highest levels of competition. Against top 50 teams this year, Flagg tends to be fairly inefficient. Both his mid-range game and finishing in the half court are a big question. He had a sub 50% effective field goal rate in games against top 50 teams, admittedly a small sample, but his turnover rate stayed stagnant and the assist rate dropped only 3%. The truth is, Flagg has had a big learning curve to go through in recent years, as he has transitioned from a high-flying, rolling big with post skills into a premier perimeter option. His excellent freshman year production backed up some gaudy AAU stats with Man United and point to maybe the most important thing in my Flagg offense evaluation. He is going to find a way to be productive regardless of what he is asked to do. It might not always be pretty, and there will be growing pains, but seeing him be an effective pick and roll handler this year, fixing aspects of his jump shot at a rapid pace, and really working to add post dribble counters all point to a real ability to add hard, tangible skills to his game at a quick pace. Improvement track record and ability to pick up on things quickly are vital skills for NBA stars. In the truest sense, Flagg could likely already contribute to winning basketball as a connecting wing. The jumper looks good, and he made it at a good clip this year, shooting 38.5% on 135 total attempts. He probably could have taken even more, but a 7.2 three-point attempt rate per 100 is a great sign considering he entered the season with the jumper being a question to some, even though his senior year at Montverde was a perfectly fine shooting year. He has been on a process of streamlining his form, bringing his set point lower and more towards the center of his body, and trying to change it from a hard 2 motion to more of a 1.5 motion. So far, it seems like a success despite some ups and downs. His vertical athleticism makes him a solid lob threat, and he is a solid assisted finisher around the basket, though the overall finishing at the rim is a concern. He's also tough enough to try and go through guys at the rim, even when frame won't always allow him to. He did get fouled a fair amount, boasting a 42.9% free throw rate, and the first step to finishing improvement is a willingness to get contact, which Flagg shows. He is also an elite closeout attacker. He can get on top of the rim in one dribble, and his understanding of angles far outpaces most his age. If the jumper remains good enough to draw hard closeouts, he will punish teams by beating them downhill and drawing help, even if the finishing remains an issue. He has shown touch on runners and hooks, ranking the 64th percentiles on runners and the 99th percentile on hook shots, and I think his comfortability finishing with one hand farther from the basket points to some paths towards improving his overall finishing based on touch. His biggest issue as a finisher currently is just that he doesn't have a deep bag of finishes that he can get to, and he struggles some with finishing through contact. He is also not elite at creating good angles to finish, both with his lack of elite bend and the fact that as good of an athlete as he is, he doesn't have a truly blinding first step or crazy explosion out of moves. Frame improvements and his overall ability to add skill give me a lot of hope in this realm. His self-creation for jumpers is a bit of a question too. He was only in the 15th percentile on off-the-dribble jump shooting per synergy, and a 42.5% effective field goal rate is not promising in that realm. The off-the-dribble shooting was a strength for him at Montverde, as he was in the 67th percentile there, but the changes he has made to his mechanics that improved his jumper overall might not have been ready for prime time when it comes to pull-up shooting. He can still hit off the dribble shots thanks to a high release, solid touch, and the proprioception to read when he has the space to get it off. But it will take more seasoning to be a real weapon. As nice as the off-ball stuff is, when drafting a guy number 1, the hope is that they can be a star with the ball in their hands. While Flagg had an inconsistent scoring ability with the ball, he did not have many inconsistencies when it comes to his passing. Flagg is a ruthlessly efficient playmaker, diagnosing the defense as quick as anybody his size that I've scouted, and he has already grown a lot in terms of his ability to deliver those passes. He started the year as mostly a standstill passer, reading and executing a complex offense with quick and decisive passes before he looked to attack, but he really grew as a live dribble passer throughout the season. The only other 6'7" or taller high major freshman to have a 25% or higher assist rate and a 20% or lower turnover rate is Ben Simmons, which points to just how impressive Flagg was as a playmaker statistically, given his 26.8% assist rate and 13.5% turnover rate. He would throw live dribble lobs in pick and roll, and when attacking handoffs, he could sometimes get a little too locked into making the first available pass instead of manipulating the defense to get what he wants, and he would get a bit too complicated from time to time and try and jump in the air or contort to make things work. But the improvement track record here is too good not to buy, in my opinion. Can he develop the bend and strength necessary to become an elite half-court advantage creator and finisher? Can he develop an unguardable mid-range shot to alleviate pressure and inverted defense? Can he hit pull-ups to the level that will force teams to go over ball screens all the time? All these questions remain, and it will require real development on Flagg's parts to reach his offensive ceiling, especially for a number 1 pick. So what are the Mavericks getting in Cooper Flagg? Is he their Luka Doncic level star with some defensive chops? Will Dallas find themselves being championship hopefuls in the near future? I think at his high end, Flagg can absolutely be an MVP level guy who is the best player on a championship team. But it won't be in the same way that Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or other high volume ball dominant scorers have done it. Flagg's path towards championship excellence will look much more like Giannis Antetokounmpo's or Jason Tatum's. Two-way impact with a flawed but devastatingly effective offensive game. Flagg is likely never going to be the best pick and roll or isolation player in the league, but he can be great in multiple spots on the court, on and off the ball, and that makes him a really difficult potential matchup who can also be developed into a variety of different roles. Maybe he is more of a playmaking 4 next to a spacing 5, who will post up smaller guys and attack bigs from the perimeter, using his processing and passing chops to punish defenses for their help, a la Julius Randle in New York. Maybe he's a secondary creating wing next to a PNR guard. He'll attack second sides and use his mid-range game and off-ball scoring to get a lot of buckets while letting the offense around him do the advantage creation in a more of a Kawhi Leonard mold. Raptors Kawhi Leonard, I should say. Maybe he ends up as more of a pure connector, playing off of other stars and using his overall two-way skill set to help teams win without taking over as a scorer night in and night out like a Chris Middleton or a plussed-up Andre Iguodala. Maybe it does look very similar to Giannis Antetokounmpo or Jason Tatum, where he develops into, the best transition ball handler in the league or one of the best off-the-dribble pick-and-roll shooters. That would require some outlier development, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that Tatum and Giannis didn't have outlier development to get to where they are now. The truth is, stars require outlier development, and the variety of potential outcomes is what makes Flagg so interesting. He could be a star in so many different ways. He is a basketball prism. Every angle you look at reflects something new back out. The upside is not as high as someone like a Victor Wembanyama, and maybe even lower than Zion Williamson's was when he was coming out. But Flagg is amongst the class of first overall picks over the last 10 to 15 years. Few players have entered the league with a higher expected value than Flagg, and I think he's earned that. The youth plus production plus impact on winning combo is very rarely seen. That makes Flagg a clear number 1 guy in this class for me. But what do you think? Am I too high or too low? Am I missing an obvious piece of the puzzle? Comment below and let me know. Leave a like and hit that subscribe button too. The bell will let you know anytime there's a new Upside Swings video dropping, and it's draft season, so you won't want to miss it. We hope we hit our ceiling today. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.